The Persian Gulf has always been a crucible of naval tension, a narrow corridor of strategic importance where superpowers meet under the scorching sun and unyielding political rivalries. By the early 21st century, decades of conflict, sanctions, and regional power plays had hardened Iran's naval strategy, giving birth to an unconventional but highly effective force, fast attack craft capable of overwhelming even the most sophisticated U.S. vessels. These small, nimble boats, often armed with rocket launchers, anti-ship missiles, and machine guns, were designed to strike suddenly and vanish into the Gulf's maze of islands and shallow waters. It was early morning when the USS Mustang, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, cruised quietly through the Strait of Hormuz. The sea was deceptively calm, a mirror reflecting the rising sun. The crew went about their standard patrol routine, unaware that the shadow of 1,000 eyes had been cast upon them. Iranian fast boats, numbering over 100 according to intelligence reports, were converging silently, their engines muffled to reduce detection. In the past, such encounters had been contained with diplomacy or minor skirmishes, but recent geopolitical tensions had raised the stakes. These vessels operated in swarms, a tactic perfected through years of asymmetric warfare training. Unlike traditional naval engagements, where a single ship's firepower dominates the battlefield, swarming relies on speed, surprise, and sheer numbers. Each fast boat was small, barely 15 to 20 meters in length, but they carried enough firepower to threaten a destroyer if they coordinated attacks effectively. Intelligence analysts had long warned that a concentrated swarm could exploit blind spots in radar coverage, saturating defensive systems before the ship could respond. As the Mustang sailed deeper into the Gulf, sensors picked up faint blips on radar, scattered and inconsistent, almost as if the sea itself were alive. The captain, Admiral Thomas Riker, a veteran with decades of experience, immediately recognized the signature. "Multiple contacts approaching at high speed," he reported. The crew's calm professionalism betrayed the rising tension. Everyone knew the stakes. In a potential confrontation, even a few fast boats could inflict catastrophic damage on a U.S. destroyer. Back on the Iranian side, commanders coordinated via encrypted communications, their voices terse and controlled. The swarm was more than a military exercise. It was a demonstration of strategic capability. Using speed, GPS, and drone reconnaissance, the flotilla was poised to encircle the American destroyer from all directions. Every captain understood the objective: avoid a direct confrontation with the destroyer's main guns until the swarm reached a critical attack formation. The psychology of swarming was as important as its mechanics. By sheer presence, they intended to force the Mustang into a defensive posture, to dictate the tempo of battle. In Washington, Naval Command monitored the situation closely. Analysts debated the appropriate response. "Engage or hold fire?" one officer asked. "Rules of engagement allow live fire only when the threat is imminent," replied the operations chief. It was a tense chess game played over hundreds of miles, where each move could escalate into a historical confrontation. The Mustang was not alone, but in these waters, distance and reaction time could make allies irrelevant. The stage was set for a dramatic test of naval doctrine, a real-world trial of swarming tactics versus modern destroyer defenses. By mid-morning, the situation escalated. Radar now showed over 100 fast-moving contacts converging from multiple vectors. The Mustang's advanced Aegis combat system tracked them with precision. But even these sophisticated sensors faced challenges. Fast boats could change direction abruptly, darting behind waves and islands, using the Gulf's shallow waters as a natural shield. The captain convened the bridge team. "Prepare for possible engagement. Weapons ready, fire control systems online. Maintain defensive posture but avoid escalation if possible." Orders were precise, reflecting the delicate balance between caution and assertiveness. Every crew member was aware that a single miscalculation could have consequences far beyond this mission. The Iranian flotilla operated with meticulous coordination. Using handheld radios and automated drone relays, small groups of 5 to 10 boats formed strike units. Each unit had a designated role. Some acted as decoys, luring radar and missiles away, while others positioned themselves for a concentrated attack. These were not reckless maneuvers. They reflected decades of military thought emphasizing psychology, deception, and timing. Suddenly, the first wave surged forward. Radar detected high-speed approaches from 3 directions simultaneously. The destroyer's missile defense systems locked onto the targets, ready to intercept. But the sheer number of contacts made prioritization difficult. Operators focused on the closest threats first, while secondary teams monitored flanking units. In the control room, silence fell, broken only by the rapid clicks of targeting systems and the occasional murmur of confirmation. Aboard one of the Iranian fast boats, Lieutenant Farid Musavi adjusted the throttle, eyes fixed on the target. "Hold formation. Wait for the signal," he instructed his team. The signal was a brief radio pulse, a single beep that triggered the simultaneous acceleration of the swarm. In seconds, dozens of fast boats moved in perfect unison, closing the distance at speeds exceeding 40 knots. Their wake cut sharply through the Persian Gulf, a visual testament to coordinated human precision. Meanwhile, on the Mustang, Admiral Riker made a crucial decision. "Prepare warning shots. If they continue closing in, authorize live fire." The tone of his voice was calm, but internally he weighed every possible outcome. Engaging hundreds of fast boats could mean destroying dozens, potentially escalating regional tensions into full-scale conflict. Yet, inaction risked catastrophe if even one boat managed to strike. The first warning shots rang out over the Gulf, small-caliber rounds tracing arcs of smoke toward the nearest vessels. Most of the swarm veered slightly, testing the American response, but their momentum remained. They were trained to absorb these initial deterrents, to observe and adapt. The psychological element of swarming was now fully in play to intimidate, distract, and force overreaction. From above, U.S. reconnaissance drones captured the swarm's movement in real time, feeding data to the Mustang. Analysts calculated trajectories, assessing potential impact points. Yet even with this intelligence, predicting human behavior at such scale proved challenging. Every fast boat was a variable, every decision a potential game-changer. The tension on the bridge was palpable, the Gulf itself seemingly holding its breath as 2 naval doctrines, high-tech firepower versus asymmetric swarm tactics, faced off in one of the most delicate maritime confrontations of modern history. The turning point arrived as one fast boat breached the 1,000-yard perimeter. This was the red line. Orders came swiftly. Live fire authorized. The Mustang's Mark 45 5-inch gun roared to life, unleashing a controlled barrage of shells toward the advancing craft. Simultaneously, vertical launch systems prepared interceptors for any missile threats. The bridge crew moved with precision, executing protocols drilled countless times, every motion synchronized with military discipline honed over decades. The Iranian commanders responded in kind. Smaller units split off, attempting evasive maneuvers while others pressed forward. Explosions dotted the horizon, water columns rising as the destroyer's firepower met human ingenuity. The noise was deafening, metal clashing with metal, engines screaming over the Gulf's flat expanse. Despite the initial chaos, the swarm displayed its primary advantage: flexibility. Fast boats changed course instantly, some weaving between shells, others circling back to exploit gaps in defensive coverage. It was not a reckless rush but a choreographed effort, exploiting both human psychology and the limitations of modern technology. For the Mustang, each shot fired had to be calculated carefully. Wasteful overreaction could leave other areas exposed. From the control room, sensor operators provided a constant stream of data: speed, heading, impact probability. Target in Zone 3, range decreasing. Fire control, confirm intercept, one technician reported. The tension was relentless, a combination of strategy, reflex, and raw human endurance. Hours of training converged in these minutes, a high-stakes ballet of military engineering versus asymmetric tactics. Meanwhile, back in Washington, analysts monitored every movement. Commanders debated whether to call in air support or allow the destroyer to handle the engagement alone. There was a fear of escalation. Any misstep could trigger regional instability or provoke broader conflict. Intelligence officers worked furiously to track the swarm's numbers, patterns, and potential reinforcements. It was a living chessboard, each move critical to the outcome. Despite the heavy fire, some fast boats pressed forward. Explosions illuminated the swells of the Persian Gulf, reflecting the bravery and recklessness of small crews determined to test the limits of one of the world's most advanced warships. The swarm's goal was never annihilation alone. It was to impose a psychological burden, to test reaction times, to demonstrate capability. After intense minutes that felt like hours, the destroyer's weapon systems began to regain the upper hand. Coordinated fire, precision targeting, and superior radar gradually reduced the swarm's effective numbers. Some fast boats retreated, others were destroyed. The lesson was stark. Even with advanced technology, the human element and creative strategy could challenge the most sophisticated defenses. Yet, as the smoke cleared, it was clear that the destroyer had survived, a testament to planning, discipline, and firepower. As the engagement concluded, both sides assessed the aftermath. The Mustang's crew conducted damage control checks, relieved but vigilant. Sensors recorded hundreds of near misses, dozens of destroyed vessels, and a testament to the psychological intensity of modern naval confrontations. For the Iranian side, the mission was a partial success. While they had not sunk the destroyer, they had demonstrated the strategic viability of swarming tactics, a message broadcast not just across the Gulf, but to the world. Military analysts began poring over the engagement in real time. The incident became a case study in asymmetric warfare, demonstrating how smaller, less technologically advanced forces could challenge superior firepower through coordination, speed, and audacity. The psychological impact was as significant as the physical engagement. For the Mustang's crew, the encounter underscored the need for constant vigilance and the unpredictable nature of maritime conflict. Beyond military strategy, the confrontation had broader implications. Diplomats, intelligence agencies, and regional powers watched closely. Any escalation in the Persian Gulf could disrupt global oil markets, shift alliances, or trigger political consequences far from the waterline. The delicate balance of deterrence, perception, and readiness became a central theme for policymakers analyzing the incident. Historians would later reflect on this encounter as a turning point in modern naval doctrine. The U.S. Navy's reliance on technological superiority alone was tested against human ingenuity and unconventional tactics. The lessons were clear. Future confrontations in confined maritime environments would require a blend of advanced technology, adaptive tactics, and psychological readiness. Swarming, once considered a peripheral threat, was now a strategic reality demanding respect and innovation. For the men aboard the Mustang, the Gulf returned to its calm, deceptive tranquility. Waves lapped gently against the hull, sunlight dancing on the water. Yet beneath the surface, the memory of that swarm lingered, a reminder that in the history of conflict, the small, nimble, and unexpected often challenge the mighty and established. It was a story of courage, strategy, and the eternal dance between technology and human daring, a narrative that would echo in naval strategy rooms for decades to come. In the grand scheme, the incident reinforced an enduring truth. History is not written by the powerful alone, but by those who dare to test limits, challenge conventions, and redefine what is possible in moments of tension and courage. The Persian Gulf, a historical crossroads of empires, trade, and war, once again proved that even in the modern era, the tides of ingenuity and audacity could shape outcomes, leaving lessons for generations of military strategists to come.